Welcome to Simply Creepy, your #1 channel for all things spooky. In tonight's episode, we take a look at some of the creepy and unexplainable videos caught on CCTV cameras. This first clip reminds us that even if it's broad daylight, you never know what terrifying and dangerous encounter might be waiting for you down the road. And even though the clip might seem very uneventful, the context might send chills down your spine. As you can see, this person is riding his horse around his property like he usually does when he decides to take his phone out and record for evidence the weird noises he has been hearing around him in the woods. To his surprise, he immediately hears something even more terrifying than just an odd noise, a human's voice saying, "Hey," multiple times, as if trying to lure him and his horse into the woods. On its own, that might not sound that scary, but if you pay attention, you can tell the voice has a weird tone and volume that sort of makes it sound fake, as if something else is trying to imitate a human's voice. As if that was not enough, you can see how the horse immediately turns around without being instructed by its rider, as if the weird voice triggered its survival instinct of escaping. If any of this sounds familiar, it's because there's a folklore-based urban legend of creatures called skinwalkers, which supposedly can imitate the voices of human beings and shapeshift to look just like their victims. Whatever it was, we're glad the horse was there to take its rider away from the possible danger. The true purpose of trail cameras is to help hunters keep track of the deer and other animals they like to hunt. But sometimes these devices can also capture something more sinister. As you can see in the clip, what's probably a coyote is just smelling around, looking for its next prey, when suddenly something attracts its attention and makes it turn its head to look into the dark woods behind him. At that exact moment, we can see two very bright eyes suddenly appear inside the darkness, only to disappear as quickly as they appeared. The position of the eyes next to the tree also makes it seem like the creature is either very tall or standing on its two rear legs, both of which sound absolutely terrifying. Luckily for the coyote, it looks like the creature is not interested in it. Remember what we said about skin crawlers being able to shapeshift into humans and imitate their voices too? Well, this clip gives us another example of just how scary that can be. While walking down the street, this person also heard strange noises that pushed him to start recording with his phone, which allowed him to capture a bizarre figure in the distance that suddenly started asking for help. And just like the previous example, you can tell by the tone and volume of the voice that something just isn't quite right about it.
What?
The passerby noticed that something was off as well, so he turned around and walked back home. Smart man.
What?
Another attribute of skinwalkers, according to the lore, is the ability to turn into harmless-looking animals to stalk their human prey more inconspicuously. In this clip, we see a goat with a strange level of curiosity about this person's house, going as far as staring at the door's small window for very long periods of time, as if trying to get a look inside. When the woman tried to approach the goat to see if it would leave, it simply stared back at the camera.
Hello. She wants to come in, does I?
Like it wasn't afraid of humans at all, which is an extremely weird behavior for these kinds of animals. Poltergeists are known for being one of the most violent and aggressive forms of apparitions, usually throwing objects around with a lot of force and making a lot of noise, even in the light of day. Sometimes they even go as far as attacking people, as we can see in this clip right here. This young woman suddenly fell to the floor in a very violent way, and it looks like something with a lot of strength either punched her in the face or pulled her by her hair. The people around her try to help her, but she seems so hurt that she cannot even stand up. These kinds of sightings are very rare, especially while on a public street, but thankfully the CCTV camera was able to capture the attack. Poltergeists are known to obsess with their victims, which could explain such a public and violent attack. These girls were doing a last-minute alcohol run for their girls' night party, which actually went by without any issues. However, upon checking the security feed of their front yard camera the next day, they noticed a creepy figure stalking them as soon as they went back inside the home. The figure seems to be walking on all four of its extremities, but it looks more humanoid than a regular animal, although it does seem to be naked and with very dark skin or fur. Whatever it was, The girls were lucky to be with each other and not by themselves, which is probably why the creature kept to itself without attacking them. As previously mentioned, poltergeists are very violent and aggressive, which we can appreciate in this other clip of what seems to be a medical clinic in the middle of the night. Some people are sitting down in the waiting area minding their own business when suddenly one of the medical providers comes running out of a room as if escaping from something that's trying to attack him. The people in the waiting area seem to be confused about it, mostly because the medical provider just kept running without providing any explanation when suddenly an empty wheelchair gets tossed out of the same room the medical provider came out of. Even then, the people in the waiting area just stay there, confused, not really knowing what to think or do about it. It wasn't until the wheelchair moved by itself yet again, in front of their own eyes, that the people in the waiting area started running for their lives as well. The lesson here is that if it's the middle of the night and you're in a place where people have probably died and someone sprints by you as if escaping from a murderer, it's better to run right behind them instead of thinking too much about it. Mirrors are usually associated with the paranormal due to a lot of unexplainable experiences by people who swear that their reflections do different things than them, with some of them even theorizing that they're portals to other parallel dimensions or worlds. This clip is one of the best examples there are for this theory, because not only was it captured by a security camera, but also noticed in real time by the people inside the room. As you can see, the woman in the video is going about her normal nightly routine when she's suddenly alerted by her brother that something weird is going on with her reflection in the mirror in front of her. Terrified, the woman refuses to look back at the mirror and just keeps talking to her brother while slowly walking away from the mirror. The brother, just like the security camera, noticed how his sister's reflection suddenly stopped moving, even though her sister was still moving her arms and head. What's even more terrifying, his sister's reflection suddenly disappeared from the mirror as he approached her to warn her about it, as if escaping from the room itself. The siblings were smart enough to discuss the situation away from the mirror, and the security footage confirmed their fear-inducing suspicions while also probably motivating them to either redecorate their living room or move out entirely. A brave woman was in her kitchen when suddenly she noticed someone, or rather something, in the room next to the kitchen. She immediately senses that it's definitely something paranormal, so she does what a lot of experienced people recommend in this kind of situation. Take control, don't show fear, and tell whatever it is that this is now your home and not theirs.
Get out! This is not your house. Go away. Go to hell.
According to spirit and apparition folklore, that's usually more than enough to push petty spirits away. But as seen in the video, this particular one is more stubborn than that and keeps throwing objects around in response to the woman's words.
Oh my God! Get out! Don't show me your face.
It also seems like this isn't the first time this happens to her in that home, which could lead to more dangerous situations if they don't properly deal with such a stubborn apparition. The thing about poltergeists is that they can throw their tantrums even if you're not in the room with them, which is why a security camera is always the best way to properly capture them in action. As you can see in this clip, the poltergeist made sure to make their point known by throwing cutlery around the kitchen before leaving the room and almost closing the door behind it. Pets are not just humanity's best and most loyal friends, but also very good radars for the paranormal due to their more powerful senses. When the owners of this house noticed that their dogs became suddenly alert and protective out of nowhere, they decided to check the footage of their newly acquired backyard security camera. To their surprise, both the dogs and the security camera proved to be a wise investment. The security footage shows a dark figure quickly running and dashing between the trees that are in front of the backyard at a speed that almost seems too fast for a regular human or animal. Thankfully, the dogs alerted their humans with enough time ahead to notice this easy-to-miss detail, which led them to take the necessary precautions to protect themselves and their pets. That concludes this episode of Creepy Moments Caught on CCTV Cameras. Be sure to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Goodbye, everybody! And make sure you lock your doors.